So hello everyone who are live on Twitch. So welcome to another session of recreational programming. So as you can see, today's stream topic is creating a file watcher in PHP. So we will create a type of package, so it will help to maintain the file watching. So if a file is modified or created or something, so we'll just call a callback. So we'll be creating this type of package. So it will have the following features: a single file and directory watching, so you can even watch a full directory, any files inside the directory or a single file. Also a recursive directory monitoring, so also a recursive one. So if we have a src folder, and inside that we have two folders and we have multiple files in that folder, so we can have a config to just switch the recursive mode to true or false according to the recursive mode. So it will just watch the files. And we have the event detection, so we will basically have three types of events: so a created event, a modified event, and deleted event. So if a file is new or created, so the created event will be fired, and if the file is modified, and then the modified event will be fired, and if the file is deleted, then the deleted event will be fired. Also we'll have a feature for multiple callbacks, so we can have multiple watches, so each watch can have a different callback, right? So we have to implement that. And a configurable interval, so we can set the file changes interval, so like in milliseconds or microseconds, so we can just pass the value. So this will be the feature of our file watcher. So also I have some user example, so we can do like this. So we'll have a watcher, and we'll just have a watch function, and we'll just pass a file path as a first parameter, and we'll just pass a second parameter, a callback. So we'll have a file which is changed or modified or deleted, and we'll have an event. So event will be one of these one, and you can just call a function here, right? So similarly for directory, so we can just do a watch and pass the directory path similar to do that. So you can do this too, right? So for the use cases, so we have where it can be used. So we have one to auto run PHP unit when the source file changed. So if some source file is changed, so you can just run the PHP unit test like this for using this. Also we can see that in PHP Laravel, so we can do auto loading, right? So auto building assets and css during development one. So also monitoring the log files or something, and build small dev automation TLA tools. So these are the use cases, so this can be used, right? So let's get started. So I'll just create a new project, file watcher. So we'll just go to that one and start PHP Storm. Can just do so. Right, so we have opened our project in the PHP Storm. So now what we can do is we'll just create it as a composer package. So we have to just install the composer one. So just do composer init, and I will just do like, and the package name will be integer slash file watcher, and we'll later modify the description stuff. So it will just be a library. So license will be MIT license, and we'll just need nothing. So yes, so we have a composer.json here, right? So this is the basic one. So now what we can do is we have src1 and we have a composer.json. So we can initialize some of the things like a git ignore file here. Okay, just pass vendor here, right? So now what we can do is we can just have started, we'll just start writing the PHP file watcher. So I'll just create a new PHP class, so it will be the file watcher. So we'll have a class that is the main class for handling the file watcher. So here, so we'll have a constructor, and inside constructor we'll just pass two things. So one will be our the time changing interval, so how in which time we have to update, or we have to see if the file is changed or not. So another one will be if we have enabled recursive mode or not. So what we can do is we can just pass an integer, so time or something like that, and another one will be boolean $recursive. So it's the PHP 8.4, sorry. So we'll have a constructor like this and we'll have some properties like private properties, private int $time, or I will just call this interval, and I'll just call it private boolean do we have enabled recursive mode or not. So two things we have, so I'll just modify it to interval, right? So now what you can do is you can just call interval will be $interval, and recursive will be just $recursive. So I'll just create examples folder here, right? So let me just create a index.php, and I will just require the vendor autoload file. So we have vendor autoload.php, right? So now what we can do, you can just initialize a file watcher, or just will call watcher will be the new file watcher. So we have to pass something like this. So I will set the default value to 500, and recursive one will be by default true. So this interval will be in microseconds, but later we'll be using like some thing. I'll just do it for now. So now what we can have, we have the default interval to 500 ms, and it's the recursive true. So now we will need a function. So we have created a doc site, so we will need a function like watch. So we can just call this like this. So what we can do is we'll have a function watch, so where we will have a parameter for the string, so it will be path, and another parameter that will be the callable, right? So what we can do is we'll have a string $path, and we'll have a callable, and we'll just call it callable, right? So it will just return void, right? So we'll have this function watch function. So now what we can do is we'll need some of the file. So for now I'll just do watcher, and we'll pass watch, and something it will be like src/, so or will like data pass/data index.js or something like this. So we'll pass a function here. So the function will have two things. So write a event, and so we can just do a file and a event. And we'll just do echo $event of $file. So we'll just do it for now, right? So we need something, and at last we will do something like we'll have something like this, and we can have multiple watches here. So now what we can do is, here we have to track all the files inside this path, and if this path is a file, so we'll just watch this file, and if it's a directory, so we'll just get all the files in this inside this directory and watch them, right? So now what can I do is so I'll just create another property, so it will be the array, and we'll just call watch files, so it will be default an empty array. So now what we can do, so if the recursive mode is on, then only we have to so what we can have, so we will have all the files, right? So if we have the recursive on, we have to get all the files here, else the files will be just the path, right? So if the recursive mode is on, so only we have to get the directory. So if the recursive is off, so you can just have only one file, that is path, right? So here we have, if the recursive mode is on, so we have to get all the files in that directory, right? So I'll just create a new function here, private function, so get all files, and we'll just pass the path here, and we'll just return the array, right? So I can call get all files of this path. So if the recursive mode is on, so we'll get all the files in the path, and if the recursive mode is off, so you can just do the path, right? So now how can we get all the files in a directory? So I think we have some classes in PHP for that, so let me search. So I'll just open this one, so PHP get all files in directory, and also if the recursive is on, so we also need the subdirectories, right? So we have two classes in PHP, right? Recursive directory iterator and recursive iterator and iterator, to get the files from the folder. So what we can do is, we can just do directory iterator. So we can call like this. So we can have something like files will be, I think we have new recursive directory iterator, and just pass the directory iterator path, and another one will be recursive directory iterator, and it will be skip dots. So if we are inside a folder, so you can have something like this, and we can have something like files abc.txt, something like this. So we are excluding the dot files, right? So dot file basically means the current directory and the one step back directory, so we are just skipping that. I think it will work. can just do file system iterator. So can I do just printer the files for that, right? So what I can do is we can have something like data, and we'll just create a folder for the data, and I'll place some of the files here. So abc.txt and something like tester.json and something like this. So now what I can do is I can do php example slash index.php. The file watcher class does not exist. So I think I haven't placed any namespace, so it will be have the namespace to integer slash file. I'll just do this, and I will just modify this to you. I'll just use this one, and here I'll just name it the watcher. I'll just update this file to use watcher, something like this, right? So now if I try to run, just do composure dump autoload. So don't we have this file? Oh, sorry, it will have the file name watcher. So now we have to import these files, these classes. So we have to import these ones. So no such file or directory. So here we have to pass the absolute file, right, or something like this, right? So we have something like this, abc.txt. So I have two files. So we have the iterator, so wrap it in a recursive iterator. Child first or leaves only can be used depending on preference. So according to it, we have to create a iterator 1, so it will be recursive iterator, right? So, and here we have to pass the files, or we can just call it recursive concord directory iterator, and we have to pass the second value as leaves only. So what is the difference between child first recursive iterator in PHP? So leaves only will just, this is the default mode. It lists only the leaf nodes, the file non array non directory items in iteration. So parent nodes example directory of the or arrays that contains other arrays are visited internally to reach their children but are not part of their iteration output themselves. So ideal when you need the final revision structure such as like this. So this mode lists both leaf nodes and parent nodes. The key difference from the default is the order. So children are listed before their respective parents. So if I try to do like so self means recursive iterator, and we'll just say child first. If I try to do iterator and just exit it, so we have nothing. Wow. So it's empty. So if I have leaves only, so even if it's empty, but why? So can I have for each iterator as item? So can I just do item? Yeah, so we have two SPL5 info object and we have two files, right? So if I have another directory inside, so like this, if I place this ABC inside this test one, what will happen? So we have a file, a directory, and a file inside it, right? So now what we can have something like a files, and so if the item, I think we have is directory, right? Each directory inside the item. So I think so it's the SPL file info object. So we have, I think we have is directory. So if it's not the directory, we'll just have the files to be item, what you can have. So get something. So let me just create, just comment this, so new, and I can have is directory, right? So is directory function is file and get something, file name or something like this. So we have a file name, right? Or path, get path. So can we do something like get path, and we'll just return $files, and here I can just do printer $files, just exit here. If I do this, so we have array of the files, so like this, but it's if it's the file path, so it's only returning the folder, not the file. So what we can have, get file name, what does it return? So it just return abc.txt and test.json. So I think we need both the each one side. So I can just do item get path and like this. So we have to do like, I think so we have the full path of the files, right? So we have all the files in that directory, right? So if the recursive was a false, so so if the recursive was false, this will be the directories, right? So it's okay since we are passing the data directory. So now what we can have, we have to place them in the watch, right? So now what we can have in the watch, so we'll iterate through each files, right? So can I just test something? So if we just pass texturization, what will happen? So dot throw an error. Yeah, so it will throw a error. So now what we have to do, so we have to check if that is file or not. So what we can do is, if I think we have something like each file, so we can just call each file. If the path is the file, so we'll just return $path, right? So and if it's the directory, if it's not the directory, so if it's someone else, so I'll just return empty. So if we just do this, so it will be just test.json, right? So it's working now. Now what we can have, we can just loop through each files, and we can just add it in the watch files. So and it will be file, and it will just be an array. So we can just pass the modified date, something like this. Modified date. So how can we get something like modified date? So file get modified date PHP. So we have a function for file mtime, so it will just return last modified timestamp. So you can just pass file modified time and just pass the file, right? So we just become, and we'll just have a something like a callback of that file to be just the callback, right? Or callable. So I'll just call it callback. Callback will be callback, right? So this will be our watch files. So now what we can have, we can just have a function that just runs the watcher. So we'll have something like watcher run. and it will just run the watcher for infinite time until we just close the we'll just kill the process, right? So now what we can have is, in the watcher we can have something like a public function run. So here we'll just do a while loop, so it will be an infinite loop, and we have to check if any file is modified or not. So right. So now what we can have, so can just iterate through each of the watch files. Edge the watch file. So we have to check first event is the created event, right? So what we can have, how can we get if the file is created? So if we don't have the file here, so initially while before running the server, so running the watcher, so we iterate all the files and place them into the watch file. So we have to check if the file exists on watch file or not. So if it doesn't exist but the file actually exists, then it is the created. So what we can do is, if we don't have something like if watch files, so what we can have, so if watch file of file, so can something like we have the file and the data, right? So if we have here file and modified modified, so it will just be modified time, not date. So it will be the modified time. So if we don't have something like this, but if we don't have the file modified time, and but if the file exists, so if the file exists, can we have something like this? So what can we have? So we have infinite loop. So in the watch files, so if we don't have the modified time and the file exists, right? Will it work? So if we added a new file, so like if we just do this, and we have currently two files, so if a new file is added after running this, so it will not be in the watcher, right? cause we are just adding the file in the watch, so currently it's being run, so we will not have in the watch files. So first we do for the modified, so later we can do this just for the created and deleted one. So what we can have is we can have the last modified time will be, so data of watch as a modified time, and if the so we can just do file and time of the file. So if the last modified time is greater than, so data of modified time, and here if this is greater, then you can just call the functions, right? So what you can do is data call back, and you can just call this function. So first part will be the file and second will be just it's modified, and here we'll just sleep, I think web you sleep, so it will be a microseconds. It will be the interval time. So it's in millisecond, but we have to convert it into microsecond. So here we can just do something like multiply by 1000. So if I just do, so I'll just have some logs here. So I'll just do watching files, so something like this. So it's the watching the file. So if I modified something, so it's saying it is modified, but it's regularly saying modified. So if it's modified, the new time will be, so watch files of file of modified time will be just new last modified time, right? So if I do this, it will just watch files. If I just edit something like this, so if I change anything something like this, so it will just be modified, right? So similarly for the abc.txt, so if I just write hello, so it will be the modified, this file will be modified, right? So it's working properly with the modification of the file, right? And it's just calling the callback. So our callback is like this. You can just convert it like this. So I just restart it and just save something, so it will show like this, right? So now what we can have, save events for, this is for the, so modified, or I think it's the updated event, right? So in the docs, whatever event we have something like modified, so it's the modified one, file event. So similarly we have to do for the created and deleted one. So how can we can check if the file is modified? So we can just check if the file is exist or not. So file exists $file. So we have two files, like something like two. How can we get if the file is modified? So we can just do it for delete. So if so we have watch files of, what we can do, can just if data of modified time, but if we don't have this exist one, right? So if we have the data of the file, but the file does not actually exist in the folder, so it's deleted. So what we can do is we can just set the watch files of the modified time to be null. So watch file of modified time will be null, and we'll just call the callback, right? So callback of the file, it will be, I think we have what even deleted even, right? So deleted. So like it is for, I think it's for the deleted one, right? So deleted. Let me just test it. So if I modify something, so it will just modify, but if I delete this file, state failed. So we can't do like this. So we have to first check if the file exists. So if exists, then we'll just get the file time, else it will be null. Can you get something like this? So we'll have a new file here, abc.json. So I haven't added event for watching creating file. So if I modify something like this, so it will handle this. So if I try to delete this file, so it will be the deleted one, right? So what we can have, so what can we do for the created event? So it's for the deleted one, it's for the modified one. So now what we can have, so what we can do is, if we don't have the modified time but the file exists, so we don't have the modified time, and if the file exists, so it's the new file, right? So watch files of file modified time will be last modified time. So last modified time, and you can just call this callback, right? It's the created event. So this is not the good way, so right? So if I just do like this, so if I create a new file, I think it will not show anything, right? Because for this logic to work, so we have to guess if a file already exists. So we have two files. So if a file is deleted, so deleted event is fired. So if I added same file name, so it will be created event, right? But we don't need this, so we have to regularly check scan all the directory, right? instead of if, just to continue here, if I just delete this, delete event amplified, and if I just create a new file with the same name, so it will be the created event, right? So but we don't need this type of logic, so we have to regularly check in the run all the files in the folder, and we have to loop through each ones, right? So here we have the path. So from my point of view, what we can do is we can have a private string path. So what we can have is can have array of like something like meta data. It will be default array. So here what we can have this metadata of the path will be the callback, something like this. So now inside the run, first we have to regularly get all the files, so we can just do for each this metadata as it will be $file, and it will just be callback, and we have to iterate through each one, so we can just call get all the files here, right? So we have to do similar like this. So we have to write this logic here. So if the recursive mode is on, so we have to get all the path. So we have to loop through the current each file. So if we have to check if we set we have this watch file, so the watch file we have the file if we don't have the file, we have to do like this. We have to edit the watch files. Else we can just do like this. So we don't need this created event, so instead of doing this, can we do like this? So instead of data, it will be this watch files of file of the modified time, and we can just call this callback here. So it's the created one. Can you do something like this? let me just try it. It's watching the file. So if I modify something, undefined variable data, so where is the data? So here is the data. So watch files, after file, and just do this. And if I modify something, so it's saying it's modified, right? So it's working, right? So if I added a new file, random file, it said it's created, and if I just delete this file, it's not deleted, right? So what we can have for it's the deleted one. So it's the created event here. So we are adding to the watch files. So here we are getting all the files here, and we are looping through with each files. And if we don't have the file in the watch file, so we are adding it in the watch file, and we are just calling the callback that the file is created, so it is working properly, right? So next time this is exist, right? So I'll just have something like echo 1, and we'll just do echo 2. So if so if I added a new file random, so it will be 1, right? It will be 1. We're adding these one. So in the next one, so the file exists. If I delete this someone, so the file exists. So if I delete that, so it will just return nothing, right? Right. Okay. So now what we have to do, can you do something like else if, so if the so I just understand this one. So if we delete the file, so this or get all files will just skip the file, so it will not include the deleted files, and we are looping through each of the files, so it will never be in that. So now what we can do, so can you get something like array diff. So and watch files, so dot it so can I just have something like PHP compare to array cage. So if something like this, so what we can do is we can have files in watch only. So you can just get array key diff or something like diff key, I think array diff key, and you can just pass to array, so it will be array 1 and it will be array 2. So this will be watch files and this will be the files, but so but these files will just have the file name in their value but not here. So what we can do is here can just, instead of reading this, we can just do item get file path. So can we have just file path instead of this, get file path. So can I just test, so new SPL file info is directory, so get path, something like get path name. So what will it return? So get path name, get path name. I'll just remove these echoes. So print our dollar file watch. If near in watch only, so we'll just do. So if we have something like a difference, so we'll just return it. So now what we can have, so if files in watch only, so I think it will be array, right? So I can just do for each. I'll just remove this one. So this will be modified one. So this will be the created one, and so for each dollar files in watch only, h dollar file in watch only. So now what you can do, you can just remove it from the watch file. So we can just unset watch files of the file in watch only and just pass the callback. So watch files. So before unsetting, so what we can do, we can just call the callable, so file in watch only, and call back with the file in watch only, and it's the deleted event. So can we have something like this? So for my case it's deleted one, right? So if I restart this one, so if I modified something like this, it's the modified, right? So if I added a new file, evc.json, so it's the created event. So if I delete this file, it should be deleted event, but if has some error, so cannot offset access offset of type array on array, line 47. Oh, so it will be so can I just do file in watch only, so it will just return like this, right? So can I have, it will just have the call back and array key of this one. So you can just do the file and it's the $data. So you can just do $data of callback of $file, and it's the created event. So you can just unset $file. So I'll just add a new file, something like this, and if I just delete this, it's the created event, it's not the created event. So how it is created? So it's not the created, so it's the deleted event. So if I delete this file, so it's the deleted. Right? So I think it's working properly. So if I add the same file, so I think we have a tvc.txt file, so it's created, and if I add something here, it's modified. Similarly, it's modified, and if I do something like this, it's the modified, and if I delete this, it's the deleted, and if I just add new file, random file, so it's the created event. So I think it's working properly, right? So here what we are doing here, initially in this constructor we are just passing the interval period, in this is in millisecond, but we need in microseconds, so we are converting just multiplying it by 1000, so it will be converted to microseconds, and we are just passing if the recursive is true or not, true or not. So if the recursive is true, so we'll just iterate through all the files so all the folders, and if not we'll just make it just a file. So, and this is the constructor part. So in the watch, so we are just passing a path and a callback. So in the path we can just send the directory path or the file path. So the directory path would only work if the recursive is true. So if the recursive is false, the directory path will not work. So if I set this to false by default, so it's just created, it's just deleted. What the heck? So if the recursive is false and if each directory should just look for nothing, and if it's not directory, so look for the error path. Still the same. So the recursive mode is off. So similarly we need here, so same logic here too. So it's just watching nothing, right? So I think it's working fine, so I'll just set it to true default. Just ignore examples. So I think this is the basic file watcher. So you can use like this, so you can have multiple watchers. So watcher, watch, so it's the current directory, and if I can just do test, it's data slash test slash abc.txt. So I can just do function, and it will be the file and the event, and echo something happened to the apc, so happened to the apc file. So if I just restart this one, so it's something happened, but why? So you have multiple watches, but something happened to abc file, but it's nothing. So it's recursive on, so it will get all the files. So if it's the file, it's just written path. So can I just do, what are the files? So print our $files and just exit here. So we have these two files. So watch files, print our watch files. Thing like this. So what's the issue? So we can just do event. I'll just remove the stops. So created, deleted, something like this. But why? So it's working properly for the folder but not for the file. So sorry. Something happened to ABC file. So if it's the recursive, so printer, so watch files. So we should have a file, right? This. So in the watch, so I just setting this true. So if the metadata, path, and the callback. So in the metadata, we are setting the path to be the callback, right? If it's recursive, so in this context is recursive. So instead of directly path, it should be path tends to path. Yeah, I think it's working fine now. See if I just do these two, right? So if it's file, we'll just return like this. So if do we need like this? Just do like this, so it is working, right? So if I just modify it, it's working fine, right? So but if I use both of them, so singly it is working, right? Sorry. So if I just modify this file, then nothing happens. But why? so we are passing the watch the path, so you can just check first, so is file or not, so it's a directory or not. So if it is directory, so what we can do, so each directory $path. So if it is directory and the recursive is on, so then we have to get all the files here. Aha. So if it's directory and it's recursive, then we've got all the files in the path. Else we can just do path p path. You don't have to check if it is file or not. It will only go here, so get all files in directory. Similarly we can do it for here, right? Now will it work? It's working here. Still not working. If I do this, still the same issue. So if it's the directory and recursive, so it will get, so in the first case, right? So so initially what will be here, so I'll just first solve this one, right? So just comment this, so the path will be data slash test slash abc.txt, right? So it will go to the watcher, so it will be here. So in this case, so it should be false. So it's the false, right? So if the directory is false, the file, so if I do printer $files, it will just be like this, right? So it's okay. Why this one? So it's a key, right? So it's okay. So we have something like this. So we are iterating through each files and adding thing to watch files. It's okay, right? So after this, the files watch files will contain one file each. So the files will contain one array. So similarly, the watch file will also contain an array. So it's okay till here. So we are now setting the metadata of the path to be called back. So in this case, printer, so metadata and printer dollar watch files, so it will be same. So the metadata will contain the text and the key and the closure, but the meta, something like what we call the watch file will contain array. So inside we will have modified time and we'll have a closure, same closure. So it's working till here. So when you go to run one, so we are having infinite loop. So we are looping through each of the metadata. So it's the path, that is the key, and this is the callback. So we are checking if it's directory. So here it should print false, right? So it's false, right? So its directory is false. It's okay. So because we have a file, so its directory will be false. So if any of these false, then we will have this. So path will be path. So if I print our dollar files, so it will contain a file, right? This. So it's okay till here. So here so what's the value of files each watch only? It's the empty array, right? Because we don't have any deletion or something like this. So if it's empty, so it will not call this one. And if it's don't have the file, so print 111. So the file exists, right? So this file exists and this last modified date. So it's printer last modified time. So why this function is not returning anything? So why it's being failed? So print a dollar file. So we are getting the file. So we have the file in the abc.txt. But this file mtime is not returning the actual time. But why? So echo and then something inside examples data test. So this is not returning one, but why? Get file modified time. Oh, so it's cached. So we have to clear state cache to clear the cache, something like this. So after each one we have to clear the state cache. So I think now it's will work. If I do like this, just yeah, something happened to this file. So if I reach to one, so deleted created, so right, but why? So it is only occurring if I enable both one. So let's fix it. So in this case, this is a directory, it's obvious. So if let's set watch files of file, so we have this, right? So we have a watch and we watch a directory, data directory, and we have another watch for this. So print our $path and $callback. I'll just increase this to something like this. So we have these two metadata, right? So if it's a directory, so yeah, in this case it's a directory, so it will get all the files here. Right. So it will get these two files. So in this case, dollar path, dollar files. Just run this. So in the first case we have two files. So in the second case we have this file, right? Okay, so in the second case, so now what we can have something like files here. So we have to look through with the metadata and just set all files. So array, combine something like this. So array, what do we have? Can have just basically the files, the key value format. So we have to push so we have all files, so we have to push them. So now what we can do, and just for which all files h dollar all file, can just do files of path will be dollar path. So where do we have private something like this? So all file will be just all file. So it's working now. So if I just modify this one, so this will contain, can I just now print dollar files and the watch files. So printer watch files, can just pass in. What the heck? So it's the loop here. Just be 1000. So now what we can have, so we have these two files. So we have the modified time, we have the modified time. So now so if we do this, so it will be overridden by this. Or what I can do is we can just make it like this. So now if I do this, something happened. If I do this, just like this, so bottom one will just override the existing one. So I think it's working fine now. So if I added a new file here, so a new file is created, but so it should not say something happened to the abc file, because it should be watched. So it's created, right? So event is created. If I create a new file, so this case, storage files, so this callback will be what? So if a new file is created, just to like file will be the all file, and the callback will be the callback. I can just do so it should be file search data, and it should be data of file, and it should be data of callback. So speed data. So if I change this file, it will show the another callback. So if I add a new file, yeah, it's the created. So now I think it's working properly. So if I delete this file, so it should show the deleted. So edge. I think this is working fine, right? So we can have more use cases. So if we do like this, so the bottom one will just override, right? So I think it's working properly. So can just create a new repo for this. So just create a new repository, file watcher. Just create a new repository here. So just now do git init. So we'll just have ignored these ones. Then just create a new. So just git dirt git commit -m. So add basic watcher with created modified and deleted events. Sorry, so we can just do just ignore the idea folder. Can just git init git dirt. So these two files. So git branch. So we are in the master. So we can just do main git remote add origin. Sorry, what I have copied. Git push -u origin main. it's been pushed, so I can just add a license file here. It should be a MIT license. Can just copy this and create a license file here. So license file, I think if MIT license text. So it's 2026. Also just create a new file with me.md. So something like a file watcher. So a PHP library that watches the files and folders and just and call back binded. So bind, so I think I would have bound with it. Can have something like so can have installation. So for that you can just use, so it's bash, so I think it's a cell. So composer require teacher/file watcher. So it should be now usage. So PHP. So what I can do is I can just copy example here. File something like this. Test.txt. So license, so this package is developed under the MIT license. I think we have like this, right? Or I think it is like this. So a license, so you can just do like this. So later just publish it into the packages. So git added, git commit -m, add MIT license and readme file. So just pause it. So can do here which role it should be software engineer. Can just have something like description. So I'll just copy paste it. Hmm. Add author, role and description in composer.json. So, so I think it's good. So so I think this is for today. So I just created a watcher for the PHP. So I think we are good. So let's just is in this stream. So good night everyone. Bye bye.